Yeah, yeah, you can cut that.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to Not After What Happened. On today's show, we're joined by, I think it's fair to say, Roanoke City musical royalty. We have got
Well,
William Seymour on the podcast today.
He's always playing somewhere.
I'm telling you, dude, like before I was even a fan on purpose, I had accidentally seen you play 23 times.
Yep.
Like
that
we,
sounds better. Yeah.
we roll in the, I would go a place and there you'd be, either solo acoustic or with a band. But yeah, you are, I would say that everyone has their opinions on music, but one opinion that nobody could have about you is that you don't put in the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. I like
Awesome.
The
Cool.
first time I saw you, I think, was at Fork in the Alley, and we were out there, and he just happened to be playing. I'm like, man, this guy's really good.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah.
I
So
like that.
maybe I guess start by telling us just a little bit about yourself, how you got into music, where you're from, maybe some early influences, because we've got a lot to unpack with someone who does as much musically with as many different bands as you have over the years.
Yeah, well, I'm from Eastern North Carolina, like Greenville, North Carolina. I moved up here about 4 years ago, and I started playing music when I was pretty young. I started in the orchestra playing like the upright bass, and then I started playing guitar when I was like 16, and then I went to college for classical music, playing the upright bass, and then in college I started playing the electric bass and playing with like blues and rock and roll bands and stuff and jam bands and stuff like that, and then just kept playing with different bands, and like along that same time I just started playing at like bars and stuff, acoustic guitar and writing songs, and then I started putting out some original stuff, and yeah, now I'm playing with Caitlin Krisko and putting out original stuff and here in Roanoke.
Cool. And we definitely want to get into not just your association with Caitlin Krisko in the broadcast, an extraordinary band. She's been on this show, and we loved having
Yeah,
her.
I saw that interview. That was good.
Yeah,
It was a
and
great time, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I'm just so glad she didn't watch it before she agreed to do the show.
Right.
But yeah, so I love that band, and we just watched you guys kick ass at Rooster Walk, so we're definitely going to want to touch on that. But I'm
Yeah.
curious, you mentioned coming from more of a classical upbringing, and I'm kind of wondering if that's because you yourself, at any point in your life, were actively drawn to classical music, or if it's just that the way we've got music education set up in this country and around the world, it does tend to be rooted more in classical music theory. And, at that point, you have to break out of it if you want to do anything different.
I mean, yeah, that's 100% right. I mean, in the fifth grade, we got to pick like our extra class, and I picked orchestra. I like music, and that was kind of the only. We didn't have band; it was an orchestra, and the only instrument they really had was the upright bass. So I was like, well, I'll just play that, and then I enjoyed it, but I still listen to, like, my dad liked a lot of bluegrass stuff. My mom liked like the Eagles and Tom Petty and stuff like that. So I was kind of always listening to different stuff all the time.
Yeah,
So just kind of combined together.
right.
And yeah, just kept for college, I got a scholarship playing bass, so I ended up just doing that. I like doing it. So
Cool. All right.
yeah.
We just mentioned Rooster Walk, and
Yeah, that was fun.
it's a very good event. Nothing but respect for Johnny Buck and the band of volunteers and staff who make that thing happen every year. But you all absolutely just laid it out. Did an incredible. I mean, every time I saw you on stage, whether it was part of that set, or, I know that's a festival where people are kind of encouraged to travel and play with different groups and artists.
Yeah.
There just seems to be a lot of energy and musical talent emanating off of that band. And I'm curious, you as someone who's played with so many different groups of musicians and expressed yourself musically in so many different ways, what makes you think to yourself, like, this is a band that's got legs? Because there's obviously more to it than just everybody being good at music. A lot of great talented bands don't make it because people don't get along or the schedules aren't jiving. At what point did you kind of realize that Caitlin Krisko in the broadcast was this powerhouse that it is?
I mean, like you said, there's a lot of talent in the band. Caitlin's an amazing singer. And probably the main thing that keeps it going and keeps me interested is the new music that Aaron and Caitlin are putting together and that we're playing and recording. Like, just continuing to like focus on original music and write new music is the thing that excites me. And yeah, and we just have a lot of fun, even when we're not playing, like in the band and stuff. It's the music's really good, and it's just nice being able to play with such good players all the time. So,
No
and
doubt.
the original stuff, like I said, that helps a lot.
Cool.
I like your real quick. I like the Houses of the Holy right there behind you. Zeppelin.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's a good
absolutely.
record.
Huge influence in drumming. John Bonham was, for sure.
Yeah, he's the man for sure.
And you've got some Simon and Garfunkel back there. Like, it really is a Mount Rushmore of like what I would expect.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of records downstairs, but then when I was decorating this room, I kind of picked out some of my favorites to put up on the wall. So I've got Jeff Beck and Stephen Stills, and
oh yeah, Truth. Yeah,
and
I've got some of it here. Yeah,
you mentioned how getting into the world of original music is kind of a game changer, because I love, don't get me wrong, I love and have spent many a night in bars listening to amazing cover bands.
yeah, for sure.
What is it about? Let me ask it this way: do you feel in any way as an artist more vulnerable or more trepidation about performing when you know that what's on the line and the product on offer is your own original music and your own original voice?
Oh yeah, for sure. Totally. Yeah. The other stuff that you play has already been like field tested and stuff. So like people generally agree, unless you're playing like a dumb song, people generally agree that it's a good song and they're probably gonna like it. But if you're like, hey, this is a brand new song that I wrote, yeah, you're definitely just hoping that people like it.
Yeah.
On the back of that, because I know being in a band, there's taboo songs anyway to shout out. What is this when you're by yourself? What is the song that you hate or dread the most to play if someone shouts it out? For band situations, Freebird is always that is the example, I think. Do you have one like that?
Well, I would have to only speak at solo shows for me.
Right.
Because you don't really yell out too much stuff at our band shows, really. But when we're playing like a long bar gig, people just feel very comfortable after a while and just start yelling out stuff. It would be like, I mean, it's cliche. It's like Wagon Wheel gets thrown around a lot, and it's almost like the new Freebird. So I get that one quite a bit.
I know Tennessee Whiskey.
We're really into Zach Bryan right now, who, I mean, the newest, or I'm not sure the newest record, the one he put out, it's like Casey Musgraves or whatever. She had a song on it. That one's pretty good, but I just haven't learned it yet. But people almost every show remind me that I haven't learned any of his songs.
Yeah. And if I hear Tennessee Whiskey one more time,
oh yeah, that one gets thrown out too.
Oh my God. Like that song's gonna be my 13th reason. If I have to hear that fucking song one more time, man. And look, no disrespect. Chris Stapleton is obviously a legend, but there comes a point where you just have to leave that song to him.
Totally, yeah.
Fact that I don't think I've ever heard you do it. If I do, just
I mean, there's probably a handful of times people have paid me enough to do it, but
right money.
No one's recording it at the time.
We used to always say we'll do Freebird for $1,000. If you put $1,000 in, we'll do it. We'll do it for sure.
Well, I've done it a little bit cheaper than $1,000. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
With
Uh,
more
so
integrity than me.
I am curious, like, I know I have a photographic memory when it comes to shows I've done that didn't go well. Like something went way off the rails, or the
Yeah.
crowd seemed particularly uncharitable. I'm curious if you have an easier time than I do of letting those things go, or if there are gigs that stand out for you as being particularly unholy in the
I
grand
mean,
scheme of your music career.
yeah, I mean, it's been like you said, I play quite a bit. So there's been several of those, and I think I block them out, and then I completely forget until I show back up to that place like 6 months later, and then I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe
Yeah.
that I'm doing this to myself again. And sometimes it goes better, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, just some venues are a little bit tougher than other ones. But it's definitely, I don't know, I think it helps you sometimes, make it through, you know, tough situations like that and make you better.
Ideally, yeah. I
Yeah, or it just breaks you down.
yeah. Yeah, and I've had some of those, but I think on the whole, like, negative audiences, really, shitty venues, they do make you appreciate the good shows a lot more.
Yeah,
And, when you get to play, say, an event like Rooster Walk or like Floyd Fest, where everybody is there on purpose, already keyed up to give you their maximal attention and time, like they don't have work the next day, they really are there in the zone to watch you. I would imagine that all those nights you spent at, whatever back alley club in Norfolk, Virginia,
yeah.
makes you a lot more grateful as an artist.
I mean, yeah, 100% for sure,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, it makes it worth it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like your guys. We can bring it maybe into Caitlin Krisko in the broadcast. I like your
Yeah,
guys' energy on stage and how you kind of go along with each other. It has that Plant Jimmy Page-esque type of energy that just really fed off of each other. I think that Caitlin herself obviously brings a lot of that anyway. She has that drive and certainly that intention as we saw when we
Yes.
interviewed her. And that's great to see. That's always a fun thing when people see you having fun up there. I know that for sure.
yeah. It definitely it means a lot when you're able to have fun on stage. You can kind of tell when some people are phoning it in, and we like to have fun on stage, and I think it shows.
And we were kind of talking about that with her a little bit in the sense that, there is so much more to a show. Like, recorded music is you lay it down in a studio, it goes on to whatever medium it's going to go on, whether that's digital or analog. And then it's always the same experience. People might feel differently, they might perceive the song differently based on what's happening in their lives, but at the end of the day, it's the same product. When you do a live show, it's always going to be a little different, no matter how regimented or mathematical a band you are. And people omit, I think, people forget when they're in a live performing band that what they're doing is a form of theater. And a lot of bands in town are fantastic technical musicians, but you don't get any sense that the music they're playing makes them want to dance, makes them happy. That there's no sense that they're putting on a show for you so much as they are filling, a quiet room with noise. And the fact that you all get up there and all of you are moving around. I mean, I
Yeah.
got some photos and videos of you grooving this weekend, dude. So I know it's possible, and it makes a difference for me as someone who loves music not just as an auditory experience, but as a piece of theater.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that really has a lot to do with kind of what kind of music you're playing, because there's a lot of really amazing artists that just kind of stand there and just do their thing, and just it's just the style of music that we play. It's rock and roll, so I mean, when it's that type of music, and you kind of you can't just stand up there and
No.
stand still. So
Speaking
I think that has a lot to do with it.
what we were listening, and my dad, who's played in bands all of his life, he leans forward to me and goes, "Is that Eric Clapton?" And the Blind Faith song. What made you guys choose that specific song as one to cover? Because I don't think I've ever heard that one before from somebody.
I think I don't know. I didn't pick it. I think Caitlin or Aaron picked it. I think Caitlin picked it, but I'm not sure.
Okay, so
And then like we'll pick a lot of we'll try a lot of songs and then we might do them one or two times and they just don't work. But then we tried that one and it started to work pretty immediately, and then it kind of just evolved into uh just a one that we like to bring out every now and then.
oh yeah, I know that feeling. It sounds good. You guys do it well for sure.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a fun one.
And are there, so, you know, and I've thought about this, and because the only point of reference into art that I have is comedy. And I've been doing that and producing a long time. But I do know that when I started out, there were people, there were like three phases to it. And in the first phase, there were the people I was just obviously ripping off, like not inspirations, but it was straight up theft. And then
Yeah.
there was the second phase where I had taken the best of them and started to apply my own voice. And then there's the third phase where I was truly, really starting to do my own thing. And I feel like musically, you're at the point right now where you're technical and confident enough to be doing your own thing and to know what that means to you. But I am curious if there was a phase for you where you were just straight up ripping people off, and maybe you could give us some insight into who those people were as a way of understanding your music.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up like really liking Jack Johnson and Dave Matthews Band.
Okay.
And uh yeah, and I got into a period. I mean, at the beginning, I was just when I first learned guitar, I was just learning those songs.
Yep.
So then um once I started playing, which was a few years after that, I needed like a bunch of songs to play. So I would just play those songs and then I would kind of sprinkle in some of my own stuff. But yeah, so there was a time when I was just playing, like half my set was like Jack Johnson and Dave Matthews Band covers. And then it got to the point where I was like, everything I was doing was like sounding like that. So now I don't do like any Jack Johnson or Dave Matthews because I think it's just gonna like start it up again. So
Gotcha. Yeah, and I will say that there are people who might be listening to this and will be surprised to learn that. But I will die on the hill that In Between Dreams and Under the Table and Dreaming deserve to be in anyone's conversation about great albums. I will die on that hill. So if you ever want to do, staple it together,
Yeah.
I wouldn't object.
I mean, I definitely had those on rotation for a long time. So
Yeah, no doubt.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't even know if I can tell if they're good or not anymore. It's just burned into my brain as being a thing. So
Yeah.
I think they're good.
So Jack Johnson, Dave Matthews Band. I'm a little concerned at this point that you might lose your rock and roll credibility if we release this thing uncut.
Yeah, you can cut that.
Festivals, how many have you done at this point? You're clearly on the Rooster Walk, the Floyd Fest circuit. Are there any others that have really captured your imagination as being particularly great places to be an artist in terms of artist relations, the crowds you get? What festivals might someone who's interested in that scene be overlooking that they shouldn't?
I mean, you named some two good ones. Like we love Floyd Fest is one of our favorites, and Rooster Walk too. We've done a lot. We've done a lot of different ones. We did Halloween a few times a few years ago, and they've kind of shifted their music for that weekend. But that one was a fun one. And I've got all my lanyards from my festivals over here.
Oh,
yeah,
sweet. Yeah.
I do this.
It's like they're all
Oh,
this is
man.
from over the years. Yeah, it's a lot of Floyd Fest ones in here. Yeah, Mountain Music Festival, that one's up in West Virginia. That one was fun. Camp Jam in the Pines, that was one. But yeah, I mean, you named two of our favorites right there, Floyd Fest and which is coming up in July. We're excited for that one. We're working on some new stuff for that one. So,
Now, when you go to a festival, are you the kind of artist? Because there are two camps I've observed, right? Or are you in the camp that goes and does the festival, right? Like you play the festival, you live at the festival, or do you prefer like an air conditioned ride in and a hotel room to sleep in at night?
yeah, I mean, you definitely can't, if we normally play 2 or 3 sets or sometimes at the festival. So you can't treat it like you're an attendee at that point because,
Yeah.
so, I mean, we'll set up a camp and then we'll have like a hotel or something. We'll shower and get ready for the show, everything. But if we get done like a Friday or Saturday, yeah, that night I'll definitely, enjoy the festival. But up until we're done, it's kind of got this leaning over me that, we've got a job to do and we can't, show up lacking because, festivals are one of our big things. So you gotta show up when it's time. So you don't want to be tired or, sweaty or dirty or gross or anything.
Yep.
You'll be that way after the show. So can't show up that way beforehand.
Speaking of circuits and everything, you guys have and I believe, yes, she's announced it, the UK tour?
We're doing Europe and the UK. Yes. So we're doing like 9 or 10 different countries, and I think we're ending it in the UK.
Wow.
And yeah, so we're doing like Spain and France and Belgium and Germany and Austria, a couple other ones, and then we're doing the rest in the UK. Yeah.
How does that, I mean, is that something you've done before right there in any kind of fashion?
Yeah, this will be my third one with them. They've done it 4 times, but I wasn't in the band for the first one. So this will be our third run out there. And we've never done this one this long. This one's almost 7 weeks.
Wow.
With very few off days. So it'll be a lot, but it's also really exciting. So
yeah, we'll see at Halloween, I guess, huh? Dang. Gone.
Yeah.
So you're just, I guess I've never done any kind of an international tour. I mean, outside of the United States, I'm pretty poorly traveled. And people say that music is this universal language, and there's no such thing as a language barrier when there's music and feeling involved. How do you find European audiences to be in terms of their reception of the kind of like Americana rock and roll energy that you all bring?
Generally, it's really good. I mean, it varies a little bit country by country, but we definitely loved the last one we did was UK. They love rock and roll over there. Spain, the one we went on 2 times ago, Spain was one of my favorite countries. Just, I mean, obviously just hanging out, but the crowds too are really great out there. Slovakia was a little more reserved and they're applauding over there. So we're not going back there on this run. But generally it's great. They really like it over there. I'm not gonna say more than here, but maybe more. I don't know. Yeah, it's a different experience in so many ways. It's kind of hard to gauge.
Slovakia is like when the Grand Ole Opry had Elvis for the first time. Just like, okay, I guess.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, I think they waited until the very end to applause, like it was like a opera or something,
Yeah,
Right. I was going to say, like, having those Soviet roots, they're probably conditioned not to be too emotional. But yeah, I mean, I completely understand. And I think it's great we got it on record that Caitlin Krisko and the broadcast hates Eastern Europe, everybody.
Yeah.
They just, no Slovakia for William Seymour.
I didn't say any of that.
You're right. You're right. That is not going to be the podcast title. No, but that is extremely exciting. To me, it's as someone who, and I think every local music scene or regional music scene, there's a certain amount of ownership that the fans start to feel. Not ownership in a malicious way, but like, these artists represent us when they're elsewhere. And so the fact that this band that I love as much as I love Caitlin Krisko in the broadcast is going to be putting their stamp, across Europe, it does a lot for me. I think as a fan of your music, it's a very inspirational thing, and I don't know. I hope it brings you guys half as much pride as it brings me, just as a fanboy, because I think that's an incredibly positive direction for you all.
No, we appreciate it. And we appreciate the fans in like Virginia and North Carolina and this Southeast region. really helps us in a lot of ways, and the festival scene around here, and just we really love the people around this area. So
What's
yeah,
your
we appreciate
What's your favorite place that you've played so far in Roanoke, as far as like a response, or like what's your go-to place where you know you're gonna have a good time?
with the band or solo.
Maybe both, maybe separate, separately. Which one
It's
separately?
hard to pick favorites. There's so many good ones. I mean, I think we got a show coming up at the Grandin Theater in, I think, November. We really like that venue. I mean, I live in Grandin, so it's it's nice. It's like right down the street from my house. That definitely helps. We love playing at 5 Points, and um, yeah, I think that's the only two play. I mean, we play Martin's too. I play Martin's. It's I guess solo. I don't really have. I mean, I played Fork in the Alley the other day. That's one of my favorite places when the weather's nice and it's outside. It rained on me on Sunday, so I moved inside. But yeah, Twisted Track. A lot of breweries. There's so many places here in Roanoke that I love playing. There's no shortage of, probably why y'all see me playing so much. But I can't pick a favorite.
Yeah, I understand.
Just run the circuit. Run the circuit.
Yep. And Martin's was my way into the local live music scene. And I think a lot of people have that experience because
I mean, they're a staple. I mean, they have music so many nights of the week, and they've helped out so many bands.
Yep.
Just by having music and doing all that, you know. Yeah, they're great. Great owners.
It's really extraordinary. And like, they kind of a few times a year they'll give us like a little block party version of a music festival, and it
They
tends
do it like 3 or 4 times a year. Yeah.
Yeah, and it tends to be at a time when there's not some other big festival that people are engaged with or looking forward to. And so it does kind of, fend away the blues of not having a Rooster Walk or a Floyd Fest on the immediate horizon. And I just remember like there were times in my life I was going there 4 nights a week, just posting up at the bar, watching an entire 3-hour show.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how much poorer my cultural understanding of the city I live in would be without that one place. But it's one of many. Roanoke is a town that loves its music. And, there
They
are
really are. They really are.
laundromats are doing shows with bands and solo acts. So like it's a crazy and invested musical town. And I can't help but think that benefits local acts as well as the bands that travel through.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially, I mean, even the bigger venues for bands coming through, not local bands or anything. There's not a there's plenty of places to see great music here in town, local and touring bands and stuff. So
Yeah.
I love it here. Yeah.
Dr. Pepper Park being like a great outside venue, especially in the spring.
Oh
summer,
yeah, dude.
fall.
If you want to see a White Snake tribute act, they got you covered,
They
bro.
got it.
They,
I haven't made it out there yet, but I've heard good things about them.
yeah.
If it's a nice evening, yeah.
Yeah, if it's a nice evening, it's a cool place to hang out. Yeah, just I don't go out there much because the idea of a tribute band as your identity, and this is me, this is just me. I'm not speaking from any place of authority, but when your whole thing is I kind of sound like AC/DC.
Yeah.
You've got to bring it, and most of them just don't, I'm afraid. I'm not asking you to step into this hot take,
it's impossible to sound just like AC/DC.
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
Even Brian Johnson couldn't sound like AC/DC. Just
Yeah.
That's right. And part of the reason I wanted to have you on was because I know that this Saturday, you've got a show happening at the Spot on Kirk that
I'm
just
so glad you brought that up. I can't wait to tell you more about that show.
Yeah, go ahead, dude.
Yes, this Saturday at the Spot on Kirk, where it's the second Songwriters Night in Roanoke. The last one I had was called Songwriters of Roanoke because everybody was from Roanoke. But this one's Songwriters Night in Roanoke. It's going to be 3 acts. It's me, Jordan Harmon, who's great, and then Caitlin Krisko and Aaron Austin. They're going to do a duo set, and we're just going to be. It's going to be all original music. It's going to be like a songwriters in the round type of thing. So I play a song, someone else plays a song, and the other act, and then we just keep going around and around. for about 2 hours, and in between, we're going to tell stories about the song, how we wrote the stuff, and yeah, it's going to be really cool. And at the end, I think we're all going to do a song together and bring in the upright bass. We're going to do a big acoustic thing in the end. So
Wow. Okay, so this will be a very different side of a lot of artists that,
totally.
kind of forge a different identity when they're on stage most of the time.
Yeah, it's gonna be totally stripped down. I don't know if you've heard Jordan Harmon. The first time I heard him was in Floyd Fest, was I think second time I was there, it was probably 6 years ago or something like that. He was playing on the Songwriters, the cabin stage.
Yeah.
Did you go to the first Floyd, or the previous side of Floyd Fest where they had it?
Yeah, I was going there when I was working for Deschutes. Like they were.
Yeah. Okay. So you know the stage, and
Yeah.
I just remember hearing him and being like, "Wow, this guy's so good." So, I've actually never really talked to him or hung out. I mean, I've talked to him over the phone, but when I was putting this together, I was like, I wonder if he could do it. And I reached out, and he was like, "Yeah, I'd love to do it." And so that's gonna be cool because he's not playing a ton of shows right now, but he's got a lot of really, really great music. And yeah, and then Caitlin and Aaron are doing an acoustic set. I might hop in on the upright on some, just to have that experience. But we hadn't figured that out yet. But yeah, it'll just be really nice. And then I've got a new song coming out that same day, so I'll be doing that song. And Aaron helped me produce that song in his studio, so it's just a lot of
they're going to get the opportunity to see you, Caitlin Krisko, Aaron and Jordan, all acoustic. We're going to get the opportunity to hear a brand new song that you're releasing. And all it's going to cost us is what? $20 ahead of time? 20
bucks. $20.
Okay. All right.
It's gonna there's only like 100 seats or something there. So if you're listening to this, you should get them now.
Yeah, absolutely.
The last one did sell out. So
and is this something you're going to be doing as an ongoing residency kind of thing, or is it just whenever you and the spot have?
Yeah, I mean, the last one I did was maybe 6 months ago, so I'll do them as often as I can. But yeah, it's something that I like to do. It's different than a lot of other acoustic gigs. Yeah, it's just like there's not I kind of got the idea. Corey Huntley did like a songwriter event at the Grand Theater a few times, and kind of stole the idea from him. I mean, and he played at the last one that I did, and he'll be there photographing this one. But yeah, it's just something I like to do, and I like getting songwriters together, and yeah, hopefully I can do more.
That's awesome. And like Jordan and I, we met because he ran the music education program over at the Jefferson Center. That's
cool.
something he was doing for a while, and I was like the patron service manager. So I was, sweeping up popcorn and candy wrappers and making sure that people knew where they were sitting. But he was, I mean, in addition to being an incredibly talented musician, he's also very passionate about instilling that in younger people through the jazz club and all of the programs that they run. So yes, I can tell you, if you're listening to this and Jordan Harmon is not a name that you know already, he's just one of 4 very good reasons to go to that show on Saturday. And what time did you say it started? 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock, yeah.
8
Doors
o'clock.
are at 7. Show starts at 8 o'clock.
Okay. Well, you're an idiot if you don't go. I can say that to anybody listening. I will be there. I'll probably be late. I have to work on Saturday, but I'm going to roll in whenever I get free of the shackles of making a paycheck. And anybody will post a link to the tickets. And
cool.
Is there anything else that people should know about you? Records that they can listen to online or at their local record shop, tracks that anything you've got coming up that you think people would benefit from knowing about? If they want
I've got some records out. I've got a couple at the local record shop here in town you can find if they still have them. I'm not sure, but I'll have some at the show on Saturday, and I've got a new song coming out on Saturday, which I'm really excited about. So that'll be live on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon, whatever you listen to music on, it's on there. Just William Seymour. The name of the song is called Birmingham. So it'll be available at, I think, 9 a.m. on Saturday, and I'll debut it at the spot on Kirk on Saturday.
Awesome.
But yeah.
Awesome.
Just look
Well,
out for that.
that's incredible. And I'm so glad we got to sit down and talk. You've been on the list of people I wanted to have on here since we started doing this in my home office a few
Yeah.
months back. And we talked about it, but I think that this is the perfect time for anyone who might not be aware of your music to start tuning in, because it's evident that you as an artist and as a member of a band have a lot of momentum. And I think that I know I am extremely proud of what you all have done, and I look forward to introducing, hopefully, some more people to your music and your art.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. It's perfect timing. Just great to sit down with you guys and chat. It's nice.
So thank you, William. You
Yeah.
have a wonderful rest of your evening, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.